So August 12, 2022, I posted a video warning MetaZoo that they needed to get their shit together. And a lot of people in the community were not seeing it. They weren't having any of it. A lot of people were just oblivious to the issues, pretending like they didn't exist. MetaZoo was riding high in their hubris, acting like the ship couldn't fail, acting like it was not going to sink. We were just going to go to the moon endlessly. Everything was just going to keep stocking and going up and up and up. And I was telling people, there's issues here. There's things that need to be addressed now before they get worse. And unfortunately, instead of actually looking at those issues and trying to solve them very quickly and nipping them in the bud, they decided just to keep going the way they were going because they were selling product. They didn't give a shit. Print it, print it, print it. Put out variations of promos in the core sets. Have the clumping issues, don't improve on this, don't fix this, all these different things, right? And then a bunch of other issues started happening. We started seeing more and more delays. And then they're not paying people now for the caster cups and stuff. Like, it's gotten really, really crazy. Right now, in 2024, MetaZoo is in such a bad position that almost every single person, if they haven't left already, is thinking about leaving. We have some of the biggest content creators. We have people like Argo selling off some of his cards. And I understand he has reasons for what he's doing. I know he wants to open up a brick and mortar store, so I get it. But ultimately, if he really had faith in this game, he wouldn't be touching those Grail cards at all. He might be selling off some of the extra stuff, but if he really believed in it, they gave him a reason to believe in it, he wouldn't be selling that stuff off. It just wouldn't happen. Even Nick Strength and Pokemon is talking about this now. Like, every single person that's really been just ride or die for MetaZoo is even starting to question it now. We're seeing all these content creators drifting off. The Mothhawk is talking about he doesn't want to put out content anymore. And these are the people that are left. It doesn't seem like MetaZoo even cares. They will let you walk out the door and they will slam the door behind you. They honestly don't even care. They're not trying to stop anyone from leaving. And it makes you wonder, do they really care? It doesn't feel like they do. They promised us they were going to pay the players back last year, the very end, with that letter that Mike put out. And believe me, I want to address that letter as well, because yes, Mike said a lot of the same things that we were feeling, and he answered a lot of questions that we had, and it got us excited. But the problem was, you got to act on what you're saying. You can't just say shit and not actually do it. And that's the problem with MetaZoo. They always had so many false promises. They overpromise, they underdeliver. They put out a letter saying, we're going to start hitting these deadlines. We can't afford to be, messing up anymore, this and that. And then they're not hitting deadlines again. They're not improving in the slightest. And it just makes people say, you know what? I'm done with MetaZoo. There's no point staying here anymore. There's just no reason for it, because you're just going to keep lying. We can't trust a damn thing you're saying. Then what's even the point? Like, what is the point? Because, yes, he said a lot of the right things. He finally started talking about how they need to get rid of all these extra products because there's just too many different variations of the core products out there. It devalues the booster boxes. Concentrate on the main sets, the core sets. That's what we've been asking for quite some time now, and I hammered on that in a few videos. That's what they need to be doing, and he said they're going to do that now. That's great. That's one of the biggest things. They need to lower print runs. We've been hammering about that as well. They need to lower print runs, and I think they got that under control now. Honestly, they kind of learned from their mistakes. I feel, at least they should have learned from their mistakes by now. They've had so many different blunders, you know what I mean? And then Hello Kitty comes out. I don't give a shit about Hello Kitty. I feel like most people in MetaZoo don't give a shit about Hello Kitty. That's just the honest truth. They put out this set that only has 6 chasers, and it's very hard to pull those chasers. It's like 1 out of 5 boxes from what I've seen from Nick's, opening videos. Terrible pull rates on those cards. Everyone's after the Mothman SR, which is understandable, but outside of that, you got a bunch of redundant cards that look very similar to one another. It's a bunch of clip art, digital drawn artwork. We're here for that watercolor, like Pokemon nostalgia. That's why we got into this game. We don't give a shit about this animated, computer generated garbage. And not only that, but it's just clip art from Hello Kitty that they just sent over and slapped on a card. So many of the cards look so similar to one another. And I heard so many stories of people opening like 10 packs and being bored of the set. So it really didn't surprise me that the prices crashed. TCG Player obviously turned around and they took their collector boxes that were selling for $300, slashed in half for $150, and everyone was excited because they actually gave everyone back $150 from the pre-orders. But then quickly they realized it wasn't a good thing because it meant they were sitting on a ton that they weren't able to sell, and they had to lower them to sell them. And everyone started wondering, were people really buying these things? It didn't seem like Hello Kitty fans gave a shit. We still haven't seen Claire's. We haven't seen Hot Topic. Like, where is this shit? I don't understand it. Arby's collab hasn't come together yet. There's so many promises, and they're just not being fulfilled. They're just under-delivering left, right, and center. And now with this Hello Kitty set, I don't know what's going on. Mike said they printed 10,000 of these boxes. We don't know. Maybe there's more collector versions of the boxes because they have a different SKU. Nobody at this point really knows. But Argo says it's selling better than all the other sets have. And I can kind of see that looking at the numbers, but ultimately it's still not a good sign because prices continue to tank. Maybe they go back up. I can understand it being that it's Hello Kitty. It can kind of hold its own, unlike a lot of these other products. But now even Native is dipping, and that's been holding consistently for around $90 for a while now. Seance is completely dipped. I mean, it's bad out here, boys. Like, it's bad. We're seeing Wilderness booster boxes selling for like $20 now. 2 years ago, like a year and a half ago, when I was putting out my videos, I said Danger Zone Low was like hovering around like that $60 range. You know what I mean? That was bad. And now we're tipping into like $20. Like, what are we even doing out here? Umu talks about it's like there's no card game right now that's alive that his booster box is selling for like $20. Like, truly. Like, real core sets. It just doesn't make any sense. It goes to show you how much they overprinted this shit. And you should have learned this already from Flesh and Blood because they completely tanked Monarch, ruined their game. They're still not doing good now. And I know a lot of people say that they're doing good, but they're not. I mean, you can look at prices. Nobody has any faith in that game whatsoever because James keeps making the stupidest decisions. It's not even a talk about the Rudy situation that just happened with them. They're just making bad decisions. And he should have learned from that. Take a look. Look around. You're overprinting this set. You can't pay attention to that outside noise. I don't care how many people are buying this shit because you know it's scalpers. You know it's flippers. People are just buying into it for the hype. They're not real collectors. They're not real fans. They're going to peace out the moment everything goes to shit. And then your game is going to die with it. And unfortunately, that's what happened when you're printing 100,000 boxes. Just way too much of it out there. And nobody wants it anymore. And that's always been one of the main issues that I talked about. But unfortunately, they don't give a shit. You know, so with this letter he puts out, yes, he's hitting on a lot of these things. You know what I mean? He's going to lower everything down. They're not going to promise so much. They put out the roadmap. There's only a few things on there. I don't think they're going to put out 3 sets next year. Even if this game does continue, I don't think they're going to get 3 sets. We'll be lucky if we get War. We've all been waiting for War. I've been super excited and stoked for War. It's supposed to be the best set ever. Actually, based on the lore of the game. It's going to have all these different battle scene cards and stuff. I think it's going to be amazing if they actually do it right. And unfortunately, without all the artists now that left, I don't know. But apparently their artwork has already been done, so I'm still super excited for this set. But they're going to do War, and it's 7 Seas, and I think that's it. I don't think they're going to get Yokai Island out this year. I really don't see it. Not the way things are going, especially when we start this bumpy. They still haven't paid the players. People are like, why aren't they paying the players? That's another concern. I don't know why they're not paying the players. It's like $44,000 I think they owe them. Like another like $50,000 a product or something. It's a drop in the bucket considering how much they said they were bringing in. Just like Nick talked about in his video today, like they could just make a check for that and pay it out. Steve Aoki has that much sitting in his freaking sock drawer. Like, honestly, it's nothing to them, you know, and that's personal. You know, obviously that's their personal money. It's not their business money. I get that, but like, pay it out. It doesn't look good for your company. I feel like what they're doing is they just want to do everything at once, and I feel like they might have some kind of news like mid-February is my guess, and then they're just going to start dropping everything like immediately, and that's when they're going to pay everybody. That's just a guess on my part, but if they're doing it that way, it's so stupid because you just pay them off immediately. Umu said it too, like, why are you promising to pay them off by a certain date? Just do it and say that you did it. And that's what you should be doing, first and foremost, because everyone's going to lose confidence. It just feels like you don't give a shit. And that's the feeling that we keep getting is that Metazoo just doesn't give a shit anymore. They don't care about anybody leaving. They don't care about their players. They don't care about their collectors. They don't care. And it's so ironic because this is a company that said they wanted to build bridges. And that's why they were collabing with so many different companies to get connections with them. They kind of help Metazoo grow in the future, right? Let's do a collaboration with Arby's now. In the future, we could do one with like McDonald's or Burger King because we could look back and say, hey, we worked with Arby's, and that's going to give us some credibility and everything else, right? So they're building all these bridges, but meanwhile, now they're just burning every single bridge they can with everybody under the sun. Every player, every content creator, every collector, they're just burning all the bridges. They don't give a shit. They're like pyromaniacs out here, and it just never ends. And prices in the market just continue to tank. And believe me, I've taken advantage of this. When all those artists left, which was a major concern, it really sucks because Poncho was like holding this game up himself and carrying it on his shoulders, to be completely honest. It sucks that they all left, but when they left, everybody was fire selling everything, and I've been picking up grails. I've been picking up all kinds of cards. So it's been great in that, you know, regards, but it still pisses me off because prices have crashed. And they continue to crash, and it still pisses me off when I see stuff that I spent so much for and it just keeps dropping, and rare cards that shouldn't be out there are out there. It's crazy. It's just a crazy period that we're in, but unfortunately, nobody has faith anymore. When Argos is selling off his cards, you know there's an issue. You know there's an issue. And unfortunately, they're just not doing anything. Mike has been on vacation. Andy, like, he took over, but let's be real, Andy's been here since the get-go. I've wanted to make a video about this for a while now, and I apologize that I've just kind of been, you know, MIA. I've been here. I just haven't been putting out any videos. But I want to talk about this because Andy's been here from the beginning. Whenever they said he was taking over, that was really just kind of help Mike, because Mike's image was tarnished at that point. He was banning everybody. He was causing all these issues. So they said, we're going to allow Mike to step down. He's still going to be in charge, but we're going to act like Andy's in charge. Now he's going to take his place. And then everyone starts attacking Andy. But the realization that you have to have is Andy's been here from the get-go. He's the one that's been doing all these different product lines, you know, from the very beginning. And that's why this game kind of went to shit. I mean, there's different segments, different areas of why the game went to shit. They all kind of came together to the perfect storm. But he's been behind all these products, making all these different variations and promos and all this different shit from the get-go. And it's half the reason why MetaZoo is where it's at. You know what I mean? So people that act like he kind of showed up and took over, I don't think he really took over shit. You know, he took over publicly, but, you know, behind the scenes, I think it's the same it's always been. And Mike is still pretty much in charge. And unfortunately, these guys don't know how to run a business. I don't know what it is, but they just make the dumbest decisions. And it can be said for all these new TCGs. They all got, you know, super, super greedy, and they saw green, and they just wanted to make as much money as they could and print it and pump it. And unfortunately, this is where we are now. But I always thought MetaZoo could make it because of how much potential it had. And I still feel like it can, but then they start to realize that we did have kind of crazy expectations. Like, how are they going to make a show when a single episode of a show can cost $500,000? And that's just for like an okay show. If you want one that's great, you know, we even talked about, it could be over $1 million an episode. So it's like, it's pretty unrealistic anyways. I don't know how other companies and stuff and IPs get out there. Like, they must have like crazy capital investors or like billions of dollars. I don't know how they do it, but, and they got to be bringing in the money, you know, that's just, you know, Pokemon was selling so much, Yu-Gi-Oh was selling so much. I mean, I guess it makes sense that they would have that, but MetaZoo was just so small, it just wasn't going to happen. And now they put out this manga, and it's like, it's great that they're putting out the IP finally, but guys, like, did you hire somebody from Fiverr? I've been wanting to talk about this as well. Like, you look at it and it looks okay, but like, it looks like you just hired like the cheapest artist. Well, maybe not the cheapest, but like a mid-tier artist on Fiverr and just slapped it together and said, make a manga. You know what I mean? It doesn't look polished. It doesn't look professional. It's not to the level that I would want it to be. And I always thought that MetaZoo could be so much more than what I'm seeing in that manga. It's okay, but it's just, it's too little, far too late, unfortunately. And that's what they're focusing on right now. And it just does not make MetaZoo look good, because we know that they got a lot of money. Mike had a lot of money coming into this. He's from Wall Street. You got Steve Aoki attached to this. You got Gary King Pokemon. You got Rudy. You got so many people that got big pockets that are involved in this. And you could get other investors too. There's so much potential here. There's no reason why you couldn't have got other capital investors. Like, I don't understand it. I don't know where the funds are going. People are making memes now because, you know, Mike bought a G-Wagon, and apparently Andy's riding around in a Lamborghini or something. I don't know. If he actually bought a Lamborghini, he's fucking stupid. Like, that's just my personal opinion, but it is what it is, right? But unfortunately, this is a scenario we're at now, where we're starting to wonder where the money's going and what's happening with this, what's happening with that. And everyone's really starting to question the integrity of MetaZoo. Like, why are they doing what they're doing? You know what I mean? They can't even get out the friggin' one-of-ones from the Kickstarter. They're sending people Kickstarter boxes. People are complaining about that. It's like, what are they doing out there? We had the streamer kits that are like a year delayed at this point in time. It's like, just cancel the bitches at this point. Like, what is happening? Are you holding it back for one thing? I feel like what they did was they took the money and used it for something else, and none of that kit was completed. They said like 99% of it was done. I don't think so. I think they just took the money, they used it for something else. You know what I mean? And the problem is now they don't have anything done, so they're just sitting here waiting on it, you know, until they get the money somehow or something. I don't know. But unfortunately, less and less people are going to buy from you. You're going to bring in less and less money. If you're not putting out products, you know what I mean? You're not going to have money coming in, and that's very bad for a business. And now we're just kind of sitting here stagnant because they can't put out anything else, because no one's going to pre-order anymore. They're not stupid. They're not going to give you a loan or this or that. You know, it's not going to happen because shit's just not being shipped out. You know what I mean? And there's so many false promises. There's sketch cards that were supposed to come in the Crombie Cryptid Carnival, you know, the collector boxes, and no one knows where those are. We even talked to Bailey because a lot of people thought he got the cards. It's funny, whenever something goes missing, people think Bailey just got them all of a sudden. But he came into Argos's Discord, and then, by the way, I've been in there for the last few months, and that's where everybody is now, and that's where a lot of the drama and stuff has been going on. But he came into the Discord the other day, and he was clearing some stuff up. Like, he doesn't have them. He doesn't know what's going on either. He's just much in the dark as everybody else. I'm not going to lie. When Argos started selling, I was a little worried too, because I know he has connections, and it's like, why are you selling some of these cards? I get why you're selling off a lot of your extra stuff, but why are you selling your Grails? You said you only had one of the Revived Mothmen, but you're selling, I get why you're selling the other ones, but why you're selling your PSA 10? And like, it had me worried a little bit, and I'm still a little worried, but even Bailey's like, I'm going to ride this until the end. I'm going to sink with the ship if it falls. And he's been selling off a lot of his shit too, but it's crazy. You know what I mean? Nobody has faith, not even Bailey. Like, everyone is just up in arms right now, and no one really knows. Like, I'm sure they know more than we do, but ultimately nobody really knows what they're doing and why they're making the decisions that they're making. And it's just really concerning for everybody. You know what I mean? MetaZoo right now is an utter shit show because nobody knows what's going on. And that's just the issue with it, And like I said, everyone's leaving left, right, and center. And then Rudy comes out. And Rudy's been bashing MetaZoo a bit lately, which is great because I want everybody to come out. Even the ones that have been shilling it, I'm glad that they're finally coming out and stepping up and talking. Because if they're talking, maybe something will actually happen. Because so far, MetaZoo's just been, completely pushing everyone else aside. All the content creators that aren't like Rudy and stuff, they haven't been paying attention to him. So now if the big boys step up and talk about it, maybe we can actually get the ball rolling, get the wheels turning, and something can actually happen. But so far, again, we're just sitting here in silence. We haven't heard anything. There's still no transparency. They acted like they're going to tell us more, but we've just been left in the dark for the last month. So I don't know. But Rudy's been bashing them, which is great. You love to see it, right? You want them to be held responsible for all these decisions that they made. But at the same time, yesterday he put out a video that should alarm a lot of us. And here's the thing. I put out some videos attacking Argos. Attacking Argos. Well, I did have an Argos video, but I wasn't attacking him. Attacking Rudy, I put out a video like over a year ago, probably a year and a half ago as well. Right around when I did the MetaZoo video, I put out some Rudy videos and talking about these very things. And I feel like more people are finally starting to realize, they're finally starting to open up their eyes, that Rudy is not a good person. He's not here to help you. He's only here to make money, and that's all he cares about. He doesn't give a shit about the success of MetaZoo, other than the fact that if it doesn't succeed, obviously, he's not going to be able to make money off it anymore. But outside of that, he doesn't give a shit. Like, he doesn't care. And I love that Umo's been putting out videos. He's been pressuring him and pressuring him and pressing him and pressing him. And it's great. You know what I mean? It's great. I love a lot of the content he's been putting out. Although I don't 100% agree with everything, and he doesn't know all the facts behind MetaZoo. But at the same time, I still really like the content he's been putting out. So it's been great. Attacking Rudy, exposing Rudy. But now Rudy comes out yesterday and puts out this video and literally admits that he's full of shit, essentially. Literally admits that he's been lying out his ass. Because he comes out and he tells people, you know what? I don't know why anyone would be investing in this. I never told them to invest in MetaZoo. I never said it was going to be an investment vehicle, yada, yada, this and that, and left, right, and center, right? And the fact of the matter is, it's like, bro, for crying out loud, when MetaZoo first started popping off, you were putting out videos saying, oh my God, MetaZoo's going to be the next big thing. Kids are going to be walking around wearing MetaZoo book bags, having MetaZoo birthday parties. You got to get in on this. It's going to be the next Pokemon. Like, you were pushing it. You were really trying to sell this shit. Like, you were shoving it down our throats. You were pumping it. That's why so many people were attacking you about this, because you were pushing it so damn hard, right? Then you put out your Nightfall boxes. I talked about this in the past. Completely scammed everybody. Do you think that people were spending $500 for a Nightfall booster box because they wanted to crack the damn thing? No, they were spending $500 on a Nightfall booster box because they thought it was going to go to $1,000. Because that's what you had everybody believing. And that's what everybody thought, because Cryptonation 1 was reaching $1,000. So everybody was buying it because they thought it was an investment. And here's Rudy, a man that runs a Patreon full of people that are trying to invest in the TCGs. And he's selling them a TCG that he's pushing as an investment on a channel that's all about investments. It's not any more blatant than that. You were telling people this was an investment. You were telling them to invest in it. And a few of us have been savvy, and we've noticed that Rudy never bought any Metazoo, essentially, right? He never put out any videos where he was showing off Metazoo collections that he was buying like everything else. We knew that behind the scenes, he wasn't really buying anything. He talked about it like in one video where he was buying like secret rares, but really he was not buying any Metazoo. So that was already a red flag right there. But it doesn't matter because he doesn't practice what he preaches, right? He was selling it, he was pumping it to all of us Timmies, essentially at that time, right? And some of them are still Timmies and have not learned. To their Patreon, to everyone in the YouTube, was selling this shit and pushing it. And now he's going to backtrack because it didn't go his way. And I talked about this in my last video when I was talking about Rudy before. I said this is what he does. When he's right, he's going to gloat about it. He's going to shove it down your throat. And if he's wrong, he's going to act like he wasn't wrong, or he's just going to ignore the subject. And in this situation, he's trying to backpedal because it's the only thing he can do. And now he's going to play it off and act like he never told anybody to do anything when it comes to Metazoo. Completely disassociate himself outside of the fact that he was just selling it. Apparently, people are spending $500 on a Nightfall box for fun and not because they thought it was going to be an investment. Not because this isn't a TCG investment channel that's pushing something that's supposed to be an investment. But he's going to sit here and act like he takes no blame. He's not going to sit here and he's not going to say he's sorry because he thought this was going to go to the moon and it didn't go to the moon. Just like Nick talked about, give us some transparency. Be real with us. Don't sit here and bullshit us. And that's why Rudy's a scumbag. And that's not the only reason why he's a scumbag. I also talked about it in the past, how he sold his exclusive promo cards that he said he was never going to sell again in his 69 kit. And here he goes again. He told people you're not going to be able to get those Crayon Rudy cards if you did not buy that kit. And here he is putting them out again. He's trickling them out. He's not selling them all at once, but every time he's going to do these box openings now, he's going to trickle out some packs. So he's going to continue to push them out to the market, continue to give those cards to people, even though he said you're not going to be able to buy those cards again. That shit is disgusting to me. I don't know why people don't hold others up to the scrutiny that they should. When they tell you something is only going to be available for a specific amount of time, and if you don't buy it, you're going to miss out, then they need to be held responsible if they try to sell those cards again later on. Another company that's doing this is M2P2, and I wanted to put out a video ripping their asshole, but I didn't do it. I didn't do it because I started to think about it and I go, I get it. They got all these boxes they printed. They got all these cards. I understand. They got a lot of overhead. They need to sell this stuff. And they're not even selling them for basically anything they can make money off of. They're selling them now for 30 bucks. But here's the situation with the M2P2 box for anybody that doesn't know. They sold these boxes. There were a collaboration that Metazoo did with an energy company called M2P2. And they did that Collecticon. And they sold these boxes. I think it was New York City Comic-Con, if I'm right, but whatever. Regardless, they sold them initially there. And then they put them up on the website. And I think they were $150 initially. And it came with some of their products, some of their stupid energy drink product. And it came with 2 promo cards, exclusive promo cards. I think there was like 8 or 10 different promo cards. And the 2 chases were the Kanto Dragon and the Unicorn, which was only supposed to be like 100 of each or whatever. And then you got like a pin with it. And they sold these for like 150 bucks a pop, right? Black Friday rolls around and they give a deal where you can get the boxes for less. I think it was like 25% off or 20% off or something. I ended up buying 3 of these boxes at that time. And then literally like a couple hours later, it was Cyber Monday at the time. They put out a Cyber Monday deal and they lowered the price even more. They had a bigger discount, which pissed me off. I probably could have wrote it, but I'm not that kind of scumbag, like whatever it is, what it is. But so I ended up buying 3 of these boxes. But I know people that bought like dozens of these boxes, right? And they were supposed to sell out. They said, this is the last chance to get it. The Black Friday deal is it. As soon as the Black Friday's over, they're not going to sell these anymore. Of course, they continued all the way through Cyber Monday, and I think they finally pulled them on like Tuesday or Wednesday of that week, and that was supposed to be it. That was when they're going to cut it. You were not going to be able to buy these anymore. It's exclusive product. You're only going to be able to get it during this time period. And unfortunately, they lied. Because like a month later, they posted these bitches back up on their website. But this time, they're not selling any of their product. Any of that product that nobody gives a shit about because nobody wants to take their supplements. Let's be real. It's sketchy, whatever. Nobody wanted the supplements in the first place. They just wanted the cards. So now they're selling the cards alone in the box for $30, which is a fraction of what they were charging before. And mind you, I get it. The first run of cards, everybody basically got 2 hollows because they didn't have the non-hollows at the time. You're supposed to get 1 hollow and 1 non-hollow. So most of us got 2 full hollows. But now you have a chance of getting 2 non-hollows because most of the cards they have left are going to be non-hollow, but they still have some of the hollows. And then it got really sketchy because we found out one of the guys in the Discord actually emailed them and asked that they would give him the specific cards that he wanted. And one of the owners, I guess not the main guy, said, yeah, we can do that for you. And then the other guy, when he was asked like a week later to kind of clarify they were actually doing this, he said, no, we don't do that. But then the guy got the box and he got every card he asked for. And then surprisingly, ironically, right after that happened, they updated the listing on the website and they said, well, if you buy 10 boxes, then you can ask us what cards you want and we'll put them in there. I think they only did that because the main guy found out that he was doing it and they had to update it because it looked super sketchy otherwise. That's the only reason why I think they did it. They were trying to cover their ass. But the main, thing here is they shouldn't be doing this in the first place. You're selling cards, you're saying they're going to be available for a certain amount of time, and now you're selling them again later on. Like, that's the most disgusting thing you can do. And the TCG is completely lying to your consumers. But nobody holds these people to high regards. Nobody gives a shit. Most people are super excited because they didn't buy into it originally. So like, oh my God, now I can just spend $30. I get a chance on these cards. But it's like, I get it. If you didn't get them initially, you're loving this. But the people that got them, that spent all that money, there's people spending $300, $400 on a non-hollow version of a card because none of those came out and they thought they were super rare. They're like, oh my God, I'm going to buy these, and there's hardly any of them out there. You know what I mean? You can't blame him for that. But now he's kicking himself because now they're selling these things left, right, and center for $30 for 2, and the price is completely plummeted. And I feel so bad for that guy. And unfortunately, that's what these companies are doing, and that's what MetaZoo's all about. This is an unregulated market, so they can do as they please. And that's the world that we live in. Nobody's held to any standards. There's no integrity out here in these streets. And unfortunately, guys, this is what pushes people away. This is what's going to cause the death of not only MetaZoo, but a lot of these other trading card themes out here. If you're going to be doing these same shenanigans, like, you got to get your shit together and you got to stop screwing over your consumers. You know what I mean? Tell them up front if a card's going to be available multiple times, this, that, or, whatever. You have to tell them up front. You got to be transparent about it. Don't lie to them. Don't piss down their back and tell them it's raining. Like, you can't do this shit. Like, you can't do it. But unfortunately, that's what's happening. So, but back to the Rudy situation. So yeah, so Rudy's putting out those promo cards again. He's a total scumbag. Like, anyone that's trying to defend this guy right now on Nick's video, like, I'm reading some of the comments, and there's a few delusional fanboys out there that are like, he never said to invest in it, this, that. It's like, maybe he never said directly, invest in the MetaZoo. But he literally was telling us to invest in the MetaZoo. That's what his whole channel's about. That's what his whole shtick is about. And he was pushing it, and he was pumping it. He was getting people to buy it. And that's what Rudy does best. Is so, like I talked about in the past, he'll tell people not to sell to him. He'll tell people not to buy from him. But they continue to do it. And that's what he loves about it. Because he can say these things and it covers his ass. So if anyone tries to go after him, it's very hard to do it because you can go back to a video and be like, look, I told him not to do it. But he knows that they're going to do it because that's the kind of customers that he has. A lot of younger audience that's very impressionable, that's going to push that shit aside. Just like Nick said, he heard rumblings of people saying that they didn't like Rudy, this and that, but he pushed it to the side because he didn't actually experience that himself. He didn't see it himself, so therefore, he didn't think it was real. He thought it was just haters. And that's what Rudy tries to make it come off as. Those people are just hating. It's normal. He always tries to normalize and say everybody has haters, everybody has this, that. But the truth is, no, these people are actually telling the truth. The people that are shitting on him are telling the truth and are trying to warn everybody else. And the fact that he still to this day says he doesn't block anybody is hilarious because I'm still blocked on YouTube. I still can't comment on his videos because of the video that I put out exposing this motherfucker. He's a piece of shit. And you know what I mean? Like, there's not much else I could say about it at this point. Like, I wish Umo could sue the brakes off of this guy. I really wish he could because he deserves it. He really does deserve it. Unfortunately, I don't think he has a case. But it would be wonderful if he could because he deserves it. He's a piece of shit. Like, he really is. But unfortunately, people are going to continue to buy into this. Rudy even says it himself that there's new waves of people constantly coming in. And I said it, for the next 10 years, he can continue to have people coming into his Patreon because that's just the way that it is. It's limited and it's limited. And he has it limited for a reason because if he opened the floodgates and everyone came in, they would come in, they would all see how shitty it is behind the scenes and how he's ripping them off and everything. And then they would dip and they'd be gone and he'd be out of customers. But since it's limited, he has a constant flow of people coming in. It doesn't matter how many people leave. He has more coming in. So he can piss off Flesh and Blood. He can do this. He can do that. And they're just continuing to come in anyways, regardless. So that's the situation with MetaZoo as it stands right now. It's very, very shitty. I'm very concerned. I'm losing my voice somehow. I don't even know how because I haven't talked at all until this video. But literally losing my voice out here trying to express my concerns with this shit. I don't get it. I'm still buying into MetaZoo regardless of what's happening because I love MetaZoo. If people are saying that there's no true fans out there, no one's buying this shit anymore, I'm still buying it. I'm still spending hundreds and thousands of dollars on MetaZoo right now. And maybe I'm an absolute dumbass, but I'm doing it because I love it. It's the only TCG at this point that I actually like. And the gameplay is actually pretty good. They do have Cryptic Clash out now. It is an actual client that you can use and play the game on and game on it. And they're improving it, and it's in beta right now, and it's going to be open to the public pretty soon. So that's pretty cool. I don't think it's going to do a lot for them, unfortunately, if they're banking on that being the huge success. I don't see it. You have to have everything else growing around you first. They talked about not having, what was it, the cart before the horse or whatever. But unfortunately, they're doing that shit again here. So I don't know, boys, but this is just how MetaZoo operates. Just a bunch of dumbasses. If you got to sell the company, sell it to somebody. Like, I don't know. Sell it to somebody that's actually going to do something good with it, please. Don't just sell it to someone that's going to tank it in the ground and completely change it. People are saying Sanrio might be buying it. I hope not. They know how to run a company. I get it, but they're going to change the direction of MetaZoo completely. You know what I mean? I don't want to see it go away from what it is. It doesn't have to be super, super dark, but you still want to have some of those undertones once in a while. We still want to have that grungy watercolor artwork. We still want to have what we fell in love with MetaZoo from the first place in MetaZoo. Otherwise, it's not going to be MetaZoo. It might say MetaZoo, might still have the same name, but it's not going to be MetaZoo. You know what I mean? If they sell it to Sanrio or some of these other companies. So it's got to be the right ones. But if that's what you got to do, that's what you got to do. I don't think they need to do it, but they need to get somebody else in charge at the very least that knows what the fuck they're doing, because this game is dying, and it's dying fast. Unfortunately, it is dying very, very fast. As Nick says, we're a lot closer to it dying than it's succeeding at this point in time, and that's not good. That's not a good look.